thousands of years, this region has been the cradle of religions, the birthplace of civilizations, and one of the most volatile arenas of conflict on Earth. And today, sitting on top of this geopolitical volcano is a rivalry that has the entire world holding its breath. Israel and Iran. Two nations separated by more than 1,000 kilometers of unforgiving desert and yet locked in one of the most complex and dangerous shadow wars in modern history. Top scientists assassinated in broad daylight. Secret nuclear facilities sabotaged by invisible cyber weapons, and devastating proxy wars turning entire nations into battlegrounds. Today, we pull back the curtain. From underground espionage networks, to the nuclear arms race, to cyber warfare, and ballistic missile strikes. Because the story behind this conflict may change everything you thought you knew about Middle Eastern politics. But history hides a strange paradox. Because once, long before the hostility, Israel and Iran were not enemies. They were allies. In the 1950s and 1960s, Iran was ruled by Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, an American-backed monarch determined to modernize his country. At the same time, Israel faced a constant existential threat, surrounded by hostile Arab nations on every side. So Israel developed a survival strategy known as the periphery doctrine. The idea was simple: build alliances with non-Arab powers in the region, especially Iran and Turkey, and the strategy worked. Iran supplied Israel with desperately needed oil. Israel provided Iran with advanced weapons, agricultural innovation, and elite intelligence training. Israeli advisors even helped train Iran's feared secret police, SAVAK. Behind closed doors, the partnership went even deeper. A highly classified military project, known as Project Flower, was launched to jointly develop advanced missile systems. For a brief moment in history, the two countries quietly worked together, but history had other plans. The year is 1979. A political earthquake shakes Iran to its core. The Iranian Revolution erupts, the Shah is forced into exile, and a powerful cleric rises to power, Ruhollah Khomeini. Almost overnight, Iran's political identity is transformed, and the new regime declares two enemies. The United States becomes the Great Satan, and Israel becomes the Little Satan. Khomeini declares Israel an illegitimate state that must ultimately disappear. Anti-Zionism becomes the centerpiece of Iran's foreign policy. The Israeli embassy in Tehran is stormed, shut down, and handed over to the Palestine Liberation Organization. In a matter of days, a strategic alliance collapses, and a new era of hostility begins. Yet despite the fierce rhetoric, neither Israel nor Iran truly wants a full-scale conventional war. Both possess military capabilities so destructive that direct conflict could devastate the entire region. So instead, a different battlefield emerges: the proxy war. Rather than attacking Israel directly, Iran begins building a network of allied militant groups across the Middle East. Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad in Gaza, and the Houthi movement in Yemen. Together, they form what Iran calls the Axis of Resistance. From Israel's perspective, this network creates a dangerous ring of fire surrounding the country. To counter it, Israel relies heavily on one of the most formidable intelligence agencies on Earth, Mossad. But some of the most dramatic battles in this war are not fought with soldiers. They are fought with code. The year is 2010. Inside Iran's heavily fortified Natanz nuclear facility, something strange begins to happen. Uranium centrifuges suddenly start spinning out of control, tearing themselves apart. Engineers are baffled. The cause is not mechanical failure. It is a cyber weapon, a virus known as Stuxnet. Secretly developed by the United States and Israel, the malware infiltrates Iran's nuclear systems and sabotages them from within. This was not just hacking. It was the first time in human history that a computer virus caused physical destruction in the real world. The nature of warfare had changed forever. At the center of this entire conflict lies one critical issue: Iran's nuclear program. Tehran insists its program is meant for civilian energy. But Israel and much of the West believe Iran could eventually develop nuclear weapons. For Israel, that possibility represents an existential threat, and that fear is tied to a strategic principle known as the Begin Doctrine, a simple rule: no hostile state that calls for Israel's destruction will ever be allowed to acquire weapons of mass destruction. And enforcing that rule has led to astonishing covert operations. November 2020, Mohsen Fakhrizadeh, widely described as the architect of Iran's nuclear weapons program, is assassinated near Tehran, but the operation shocks the world. Reports suggest the attack was carried out using an advanced remote-controlled weapon system, operated via satellite. No assassin on the ground. After the strike, the weapon reportedly self-destructed, a chilling glimpse into the technological future of warfare. For decades, most of this conflict remained hidden, fought through spies, cyber sabotage, and proxy militias. But recently, the shadows began to disappear. In a dramatic escalation, Israel strikes an Iranian diplomatic compound in Syria, killing senior military commanders. Iran responds with something unprecedented. For the first time in history, Iran launches a massive wave of drones and ballistic missiles directly from its own territory toward Israel. Hundreds of projectiles crossing the skies of the Middle East. Most are intercepted by Israeli defenses and allied forces. But the message is unmistakable. Iran is willing to confront Israel directly. For several tense nights, the world stands dangerously close to a wider war. Today, the Israeli-Iranian conflict is no longer simply a political dispute. It is a collision of ideology, power, and survival. One side believes it must act decisively to guarantee its existence. The other seeks to challenge Western influence across the entire region, and caught in between are millions of civilians, fragile economies, and entire generations living in uncertainty. So the question remains, How does this shadow war end? Is there still a diplomatic path forward? Or will this rivalry eventually erupt into a direct conflict that could reshape the Middle East forever? Only time will reveal the answer. But one thing is certain. The rivalry between Israel and Iran will continue to shape global geopolitics for years to come. Until next time, stay informed and stay safe.
World has never seen. In this case, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has made a surprising initiative amid the escalating situation in the Middle East. According to Bloomberg, he proposed sending Ukrainian air defense specialists to the region.